We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Wanneroo people, and pay respects to elders past and present. Their traditions of storytelling and knowledge sharing continue to inspire and enrich our school community. Welcome to the GRAPEVINE. I'm Chelsea, and this is your go-to podcast for staying updated, meeting new faces, and hearing their stories from the Hunter Valley Grammar School community. This week, I'm joined by Miss Butterworth, and we're unwrapping 2024 at HVGS. Stay tuned. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for asking us, Chelsea. Or me, Chelsea. Sorry. Thank you for asking me, Chelsea.
So, we wanted to start off today by getting to know you and hear how you became the woman you are today as such a strong and empowering leader. So, let's start all the way back at the beginning with where you grew up.
Oh, my goodness. I grew up in Tasmania.
And how would you describe your upbringing?
Well, I am from a family of 7 children, 3 boys and 4 girls, and I'm the youngest of 7. So it was interesting. My parents were Catholic, and so I went to a Catholic school. Yeah, it was a really nice upbringing. So I lived near a place called the Gorge or the Basin, which is a really beautiful natural gorge. And so I would spend my weekends in summer just down at the basin in the pool and swimming in the gorge, and it was lovely. It was great.
A little water baby.
Yeah, exactly.
And in your childhood, who were your biggest role models?
I would say probably, it's a bit of a cliche, but I would say my mother and my sisters. But yeah, they've always been inspiration to me for, being a strong woman and standing up for what I believe in. And also I think just believing in yourself that you can do it.
And what would you say were some of the challenges you faced in your younger years?
Actually, one of the challenges was my family, we didn't have a lot of money actually. So my parents really struggled financially, particularly with 7 children. But they did all they could to make sure we all went to a Catholic school. But yeah, that was probably one of the biggest challenges. My mother would make lots of sacrifices for her children. So that was a big one. Actually, you know what? Like, I loved growing up in Tasmania, but by the time I was a teenager, it felt kind of small.
Yeah.
And coming from a big family, everybody knew the Butterworths.
Yeah. And now, moving into your high school years, what were you most interested in?
History. And I stayed interested in history for a really long time. History and literature are my 2 big passions, I guess, as well as sport.
Yeah? What
netball,
sports were you interested in? Netball.
Netball. Netball.
You spike me as like a goal attack.
No, I was a defender.
Oh, yeah. Really? A bit aggro?
Yeah, I was actually. And I would jump everywhere.
And how did you decide what you wanted to study at university?
Initially, I applied for law and I got accepted into law. And just before university started, I thought, actually, that sounds really boring. And I really loved literature and history, so I decided to do a Bachelor of Arts instead and major in literature and history, and I did some psychology as well.
Oh, I want to be a psychologist or a surgeon.
Oh, good.
Yeah. As a young adult at university, where were you anticipating your career to go?
And I was planning on going into academics and being like a university professor and doing a master's and a PhD. And when I was doing a master's in arts, and then I decided to do a grad dip in teaching because I thought, I could get more money. And then I didn't stop it, I just went into teaching.
And then you went on to work all around the globe in China, Singapore, Switzerland, and many different schools.
Go off to conferences and workshops around Southeast Asia. And then on one of those trips, I met this man called Brett. And he leaned over, we were in a bus, and he leaned over and he said, Rebecca, why don't you think about teaching internationally? I went, yeah, okay. And he gave me the contact of a recruitment agency. Got back, talked to my husband, we applied, and then all of a sudden we were working in Beijing.
You were gone.
Exactly.
All around the globe.
Exactly.
And what would you say were some of your biggest struggles in living and working overseas?
Well, when we first moved to Beijing, culture shock, definitely. So, we travelled overseas, or I travelled overseas but not lived overseas before. So it was a big shift.
Yeah.
And then all the adjustments that come with working, in a foreign country. So, everything from the practical things like money and banking and, how do you do that? And then actually just buying what you needed, like furniture.
Yeah.
So in China, the beds are really, really hard. So they're really hard. They're like rocks. So I had to actually, we had to figure out how to get these pads that go over the bed so you could actually go to sleep. You know, little things like that, like practical life things that you have to figure out.
Were there any things in particular that helped you adapt to that change?
I don't know, to embrace the excitement and the difference of it all, you know, and try new things. And but being humble is really important, and not actually bringing my own ideas of how things should be, and accepting that actually I'm in somebody else's country, so embrace it.
And you then made the decision to move back to Australia. So what attracted you to Hunter Valley Grammar School?
Oh, the values actually of the school. The people that I met, you know, so my first contact was with our board of directors, and they are an awesome group of people. And at that stage I had most contact with the women on the board too. And I thought, oh, this is a group of women I'd love to work with. That was strong, you know, professional women. Yeah, and I think, you know, I can remember because I was hired and it was COVID, so I couldn't fly in, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was taken on a virtual tour of the school.
Oh.
Thought, yeah, this is a beautiful campus. And I think, you know, and just through the process, there was just a really great alignment between who I am as a leader, and I thought, yeah, this is the place I want to be in.
And so you've now been at HVGS for 3 years. So what's something you maybe didn't notice at first but have come to love? It's a bit of an interesting question.
You know, the tartan.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the tartan, but, you know, I didn't think much of the tartan, or I didn't kind of focus on the tartan.
Yeah.
But now that I'm here, I really love the tartan. You know, and I've got the tartan carpet on my floor in my office.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
I do.
And so, in terms of a day in the life of a principal, talk us through what an average day would look like.
Often I'm out at drop-off at kindy and junior school drop-off, and that's kind of fun. My day involves lots of meetings, so it's kind of, you know, boring for a student. So, you know, I might have days where I'm having regular meetings, and then, you know, other meetings that are because there's a problem. Unfortunately, being a principal, sometimes the meetings are about problems.
Yeah.
You know, probably about, you know, 70% of them are usually about problems.
Oh my God.
That you have to solve. And the best ones are where they're a bit more creative and you're trying to kind of develop ideas and so on. And then I try and get out and about and have a bit of a walk around when I can, particularly if, you know, I've had a sort of a long day in the office.
Yeah. And so obviously your job can become very stressful at times. So how would you wind down after a really crazy, busy day at work?
You know, it depends. Have a good laugh. Like, find something to laugh about.
Yeah.
Is a big relaxing thing to do. You've got to have a sense of humour in a role like this. I might go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm a bit of
an active lifestyle.
Yeah. So I did that yesterday afternoon.
Oh.
Yeah. Went and had a good workout in my gym. And then sometimes it's just going home and hanging out with my family, playing with my dog. My dog is really
What
crazy.
breed's your dog?
Oh, he's a black lab.
Oh.
Yeah. And he is absolutely insane at times. So
crazy, but you love him.
Exactly.
And so obviously being a principal is a very serious role. So like, what's that like really? Because not many people would know how it feels to be a principal.
I feel really privileged to work with, you know, like little ones from 3-year-olds right up to 18-year-olds. We have an amazing staff as well. So I try and stay focused on that, but at the same time, there's a big responsibility. So there's some days where the weight on my shoulders feels huge. You know, that's also just part of the role. So, you know, you've got to run with it rather than resist it. Any problem I encounter is just a solution waiting to be found.
That's very inspirational. And you mentioned that you wish you might have liked to stay just a general teacher for a bit longer. Why is that?
Because I really love the classroom, you know,
Yeah.
and from quite early in my career, I've had to balance those two things, and they're, you know, and they're tricky to kind of do the leadership work and, you know, devote time to the classroom. But this is the first position I've been in where I haven't been teaching.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you haven't been teaching for 3 years now?
Yeah, like formally teaching a class. So, you know, I've always chosen to continue with the class, but when I moved here, I didn't, just so I could get my bearings, but I do miss that.
Yeah. Where would we find you on the weekend? What are some little hobbies people wouldn't know?
You'll find me in my garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I've never had a house like I have before, like a house with a backyard. So when we moved back to Australia, we wanted a house with a backyard, a dog as well. We've got both.
Yeah. Best of both worlds.
Exactly. So the dog and I are often out in the garden on the weekend, trimming my lavender.
Oh. Do you believe in like the rituals and they have like some sage, some lavender and like cleansing? Have you ever done that?
I have in the past.
You have?
Yeah, I've done some interesting things in the past.
Do you think it worked?
Yeah, I do actually.
Really? Get rid of all the negative energy?
Yeah, I do believe that, you know, you can kind of balance things with the right, like using nature to help balance things out. Absolutely. So yes, you might find me in my garden. Or you might find me lying down the couch having a read.
What book are you reading at the moment?
You know what? I like to read crime fiction, actually.
I love crime.
Yeah, so I'm reading an Australian one. I've forgotten the author's name, actually. But yeah, I really like crime fiction, and that's my winding down at night. And then I always have something else that's a bit more, you know, kind of serious on the side or inspirational on the side that I'm reading too.
So now we're going to play a little game. It's going to be 2 truths and a lie.
Oh, okay.
So I'll go first. I've been at this school for 3 years like you. Mm-hmm. My star sign is a Cancer and I've been doing aerobics for 1 year.
I don't think you're a Cancer.
No, I'm not. I'm a Libra.
So I lived in Beijing for 5 years. I have a sister called Susan. And I used to have a cat called George.
I'm going to go with your sister's name is Susan.
No, that's true.
Oh! Was it the cat?
No, the cat's true. I lived in Beijing, but for 9 years, not 5.
Oh.
It's the devil's in the details, Chelsea.
Obviously, 2024 has been a very big year, a year filled with events, learning, sporting achievements, incredible music and art talent, and new programs launching such as the Endeavour program for 2025 for years 10 and 11, and the IB Diploma program has been confirmed. Our facilities renovated and a show-stopping musical. So, what were some highlights of 2024 that stand out to you?
Well, the IB Diploma definitely, and actually partly because we did so well, Chelsea. You know, we had no recommendations, but the way they talked about our teachers, you know, so after every meeting with, you know, different subject teachers, they would say just how amazing the teachers were, how committed they were, and they said that to the teachers as well. So people were walking on high. You know? They felt really good. That recognition's important.
Yeah.
But sometimes being a teacher's a tough job. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory
Yes.
used to be one of them as well. That was, like always, amazing performance. And you know what? Everybody was so joyful on stage and had so much fun, and some people had a really wicked sense of humour, and I saw a new side of different students, which is great. It still makes me laugh when I think about it. Finally getting them to work on the Cameron Centre. Finally.
I think a lot of us feel that same way.
So that's a big highlight. We'll get a new roof, a new floor, and new screens up in there as well. So
new screens?
Like new projection screens.
Oh.
Yeah, so they'll be funky.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, it'll feel like a new building, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I did some work this year with our rowing students and the rowing coaches on developing a code of conduct for rowing, and not many people would know about that, but it was so much fun working with the kids. Rugby team won, you know, up on the Oval.
Yeah.
That was a few months ago now. That was fun. And then I got to see the netball girls grand final too.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was a nail-biting finish.
Yeah.
You know, they got down to doing extra time.
Oh. Do you know what the final score was?
No, but we won by 1 point.
Oh, so very close.
Exactly.
So last week we took to the playground to find out what HVGS wanted to ask their principal.
Oh.
So Sophia from the ELC wants to know,
What's your favourite colour?
Purple.
Liam from the ELC wants to know,
What do you do on the holidays?
I like to travel. I like to sleep in, read books and do my garden. But soon, in the Christmas holidays, we'll be going to hang out at the beach up in Queensland, and that'll be fabulous.
I think it was Liam, he wanted to ask it, but then he changed his question. He was going to ask, what's your favourite gardening tool? So I don't know if he knew you were a gardener.
No, he didn't.
But the fact he...
what's my favourite gardening tool? I have to say, you know, it's a pitchfork.
A pitchfork.
Because I've done a lot of work in my garden using a pitchfork to get, old plants out and replant. I love it.
So Mr. Gidney from the music faculty
Oh, no.
wants to know.
I'd like to know, what is your favourite song?
Can I change it? I don't have a favourite song.
Yeah.
But I really like Nick Cave.
So artist?
Yeah, artist,
Yeah.
sorry. Nick Cave is one of my favourite artists. Ben Harper is another one. PJ Harvey.
I don't know any of them, but
Mr. Gibney would.
Mr. Gidney will, and he'll appreciate it.
Exactly.
Chloe from year 3 wants to know.
What's your favourite number?
50.
Any
You want
reason?
to know why?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm over 50 now and I think 50 is a brilliant decade.
Are you really over 50?
I am.
Oh my God. I would not pick that.
There you go. Thank you, Chelsea. Right answer.
Grace from year 3 wants to know.
What's your favourite thing about being a principal?
Hanging out with students like this and supporting projects like this. Like when you got an idea and I can say yes. It's great.
Izzy from year 3 wants to know.
What is your favourite thing to get from treetops?
Oh, the cookies.
Oh,
The cookies.
the cookies are good.
They're really good. When I need that sugar hit. That's the other thing I do on weekends now. I cook.
Oh, do you? Baking or like cooking?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. So if I'm going to make dinner for my family, there's usually a dessert involved as well.
What's your go-to dessert?
Apple crumble is my go-to.
Oh,
I can do that
that's
quite
good.
quick. I make a mean lemon cheesecake too. Do you like sticky date pudding?
Oh,
Yeah.
I also make one of the best sticky date puddings.
sticky date puddings have a special spot in my heart. They're so good.
I like the little sauce that comes
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just absorbs the sauce. Yeah.
Eva from the ELC wants to know.
Do you have a pet?
I do. I have a beautiful black lab, also called George.
Oh, Mia from year 6 wants to know.
What's your favourite sport?
Running, I'd have to say now.
Yeah.
Yeah, running.
Will from year 7 wants to know.
How did you become a principal?
I took a big, leap of faith, I guess, took a bit of a risk, resigned from one job and then just started applying for principal's jobs and put myself out there and spoke to a couple of people and said, will you be a reference for me? They said, absolutely. And, it's a bit of hard work, but it was good. But it's about kind of, there is an element of taking a risk and, having a bit of courage and being okay with a no as well. Yeah.
Amelia and Jocelyn from year 7 want to know.
How many languages do you speak?
Really only one.
Really?
Yeah. I can speak a little bit of Mandarin, a little bit of French. I studied French up to year 10, but really, if you want to say speaking.
Fluently?
Yeah.
English?
Yeah.
I hope it's English.
Yeah. Yes.
Toby and Yuvi from year 9 want to know.
What's your favourite hobby?
Actually, at the moment, my favourite hobby would probably be, apart from my gardening and my cooking, going to the gym. I belong to, I'm going to do a bit of a plug for Fitstop. Do you know Fitstop?
No.
Okay, it's a chain of gyms, but I really like them. They're really community-based, group classes. Yeah, and it's a really nice community, and there's one on the High Street in Maitland.
Miss King, Head of Commerce and Geography, wants to know.
Hi there. Which is your favourite country that you've been to and lived in and why?
I've loved all the countries I've lived in. I have to say Switzerland is probably... if I was to go back and live overseas again, it would be hard to not live in Switzerland. It's beautiful.
Does it snow over there?
Oh, gosh, yeah. But then in summer, it's just, fields of flowers and green grass. And
so it's literally
everybody
the
gets
perfect...
out hiking, good public transport, healthy... and then you've got the older parts, like the Altstadt, which is the old parts of the city as well. So
I think I'll have to go to Switzerland.
you do.
Samuel from the ELC wants to know.
What do you like to eat?
You know what? I eat lots of different stuff, but I recently had really nice fish and chips.
Oh,
Yeah, really.
you can't go wrong.
I know. Well, you can actually if you do bad fish and chips. You really can. But this was nice.
Yeah.
And it was battered too. I don't normally like battered fish, but it was.
But it was good?
delicious.
Bit different?
Yeah.
Olive from year 10 wants to know.
Are we getting a swimming pool anytime soon?
Olive, no, we're not. There is no swimming pool on the plan.
Edward from year 7 wants to know.
Can we have Fanta in the bubblers?
I wonder what the answer to that question might be. No.
Tilly and Lucy from year 9 want to know.
What's your favourite part about your job?
Actually working with staff on new ideas and creative ideas, particularly around learning in the classroom. what we could do differently.
And Belle from the Treetops Cafe wants to know.
What is your funniest student interaction at HVGS so far?
I had this little kinder kid the other day who said to me, I helped him out of the car and he just looked at me and screwed up his face and said, "Why are you always here?" Every morning I see why.
So, looking forward to 2025 and beyond, what are some things the HVGS community should be looking forward to?
The opening of the Cameron Centre.
Yeah.
We probably have some new things on the horizon in terms of the campus and the campus master plan.
Oh.
We should also be looking forward to the first cohort of IB diploma and HSC students that go through together, which will be your year level. Yeah, we're recruiting for a new head of senior school at the moment.
Oh.
Mr. Robinson is retiring.
Sadly.
Next year. Very, very sad.
Very sad.
He has all this knowledge and this experience. Yeah, so we're in the process and we will be inviting students to participate in the interview process.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was lovely having you and we can't wait to have you back on soon.
Thank you very much, Chelsea.
Thanks for joining us on this season of the Grammar Grapevine. We're beyond grateful for the support this podcast has received in its very first season. We'll be taking a short break, but don't worry, we'll be back next year with some very fun guests and exciting new changes. We wish everyone a happy Christmas and New Year. Stay tuned and get ready to join us again in Term 1 for Season 2. See you in the new year!